Hello, welcome back to Otter Pop Culture. Today we're going over the third album of Nick Jonas called Spaceman. So I am very excited to get into this album because I loved the first single, Spaceman. I've listened to it multiple times. I think it's very smooth. It sounds like him, but it talks about great topics that I'm really gonna break down in a minute. Because Jonas has a great little organization inside this album. And I'm glad that we finally can talk about an album where he actually is happy. I felt like in his first album that came out in 2014, there was happiness-ish, but there was some kind of sad pieces to it. And then we go into last year was complicated, which came out in 2016, and it just felt like he couldn't catch a break. And I was just like, oh my god, can he please like find somebody that he can really fall in love with, he could be with, you know? And so finally we have an album where he actually does talk about love. And I know that he just did an album with Justin Bieber with his not holy, Justice. So I know I can hear people say like, oh, you said you like this album that talks about his wife, but you don't like his album talk about his wife. There's a difference. There's a huge difference between the two. I think that in this situation, we're talking about he's talking about not only just his wife, but how his wife makes him feel with them together as a unit, more than like you help me, you help me. It seems like in the Justin Bieber direction, he benefits a lot from this relationship more than realizing how much how much Haley benefits from her. But enough about him. We're talking about Nick, and so let's get into this. So first off, there is sections to this album. So the first three songs are talking about the theme of distance, and then track 4 and 5 talk about indulgence, and then we go into the sixth, seventh, and eighth album or song, which talks about euphoria and joys of like doing stuff and having happiness, and then the last three songs talk about commitment. So yes, some of it talks about love he has with his wife, Priyanka. Bam, got it. Priyanka, and so there's definitely going to be some pieces in that direction which I see. So in Distance, it talks about that, where it's like much more elevated in different ways, where it says, "Don't give up on us." That one is a really good song. I really liked. I love the production. I love the bass coming in immediately, letting you know like we're going to give you a lot of great production. The production's great. Thank you to Kirsten and Mozella, who killed it. This one talks about pretty much him having, I guess him and Priyanka must be in a social distancing direction to where when it started, they weren't around each other, I guess they're living separately and sometime in this time, so I can see the direction, because he's talking about like, I wonder if you found somebody else. I can't help but wondering if you're loving somebody else, or if you're with somebody else, you find somebody else that you're interested in is doing it better, doing something better than I am. Sorry, there's a light weirdness to this. I think this is better. So he can't help but think about it, but he's pretty much saying like, don't give up on us. Without you, I couldn't get enough, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's really, really into her, and really hopes that there's nothing that this distance isn't tearing them apart. Then goes into more with heights, where it's like, he says, when your love is so high, you bound to fall together. And he says, I know that when we fight, it's always now or never. So it seems like a lot of intensity is happening in a relationship where it's, whenever they fight, it's just like, is this it? 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 You know? So it's very intense in that direction, but they kind of know. And so in this direction, he's saying like, I know it's a long way down, but I'm not afraid of heights. So he's not afraid to stay in this bubble of where they are, even if they have very passionate kind of like fights and passionate type of love. And then Distance ends with Spaceman, which is one of my favorite songs off the album. And it says when I looked it up, it was about his wife, Priyanka, but I really think it's not. I think it's more about the world and the COVID world and pandemic and everything that's going on as we speak, and it's kind of talks about that direction where it's just like he feels like a spaceman. He's not connected to people. When he says, "I'm talking to you," but I feel like it doesn't come through. I think in that direction, it feels like he's communicating with people, but it doesn't feel like it's real. It doesn't feel like the connection is really happening. It's true. It doesn't really. I agree with that. Like being on the phone, texting, or talking to people via social media doesn't really feel like you're really getting to know them. I just love the different parts. I feel like one part I really liked is like where because they or numbers are high, but we keep going down because we ain't supposed to be living with no one around. Pretty much talking about the numbers of COVID numbers being just going high rocket or skyrocket, but we feel like we're just going down because of it, and because the idea of not really being around people to have that physical connection isn't really happening. And I think that that's something that humans aren't supposed to be dealing with. It's kind of pretty much with jail, being in prison and being in like isolation. Like you can choose to do that, but it doesn't. But in the end of it, we all want to have that human connection. I loved it. I love that song. Too Drunk goes into the indulgence direction, which I really, really loved. I love the idea of him kind of just saying, it's like, with everything going on, I can't help but I end up drinking way more than I had before. And apparently he's had this interview where he talks about it too. So it does talk about it. He says, breaking all the rules I set myself. Pretty much saying, like, he knows that this is not a good idea to do, but it seems to be the thing that kind of keeps things going in that direction. So I think it's like indulging in this type of like not flaw, but indulging in this direction that is wrong. But for now, it's what feels right at this moment kind of direction. Delicious, I love Delicious. That one does talk about Priyanka and how he loves her body and really, really likes everything about her, So yeah, I love it. I think it's I love the whole like metaphoric direction of talking about her being like her body being a plate for him, and he's looking it all up because it's delicious. I get it. Going into Euphoria, which talks about this is heaven. We're talking more about Priyanka in that direction, but it seems like it breaks down more about their love and how much as he says, every kiss with you is like your prayers falls from your like your prayers falls from your lips, and now I'm a believer. So leaning into that kind of like this is heaven, leaning into the heaven direction, saying like her love makes him a believer. I love it. I love the sex solo. I think it's really fun. One of my other favorite songs off the album. A shout out to the next song, which is Sexual. Love the whole thing, and the whole direction is pretty nice and hot. But one thing I will point out that was a little too cheesy was you put the sex and sexual. I was like, okay, I get that. That's a little too pointed to all the other metaphoric directions in clever writing. That wasn't so clever, but I'll let it go because the rest of the song was really nice. Another song I really like was Inside the Commitment direction. If I Fall, it feels like, and this song is really nice because it's a catchy chorus, by the way, because it seems like his writing has gotten better and better and better. Not that it was bad in the beginning, but it seems like he's adding more skill to it. I really like it. This one pretty much talks about like, if I fall, you're gonna be the last one I fall for, unless I fall for you again, kind of thing. And I think that's something that he's just saying, he's how committed he is to this and how much this love he feels about this love. A shout out to Death Do Us Part, where he talks about pretty much how this love is really great, and that he, even after death, like death will not do them apart. Pretty much. One line that I thought was kind of funny was that he says, "This is caviar with some Pringles," and I don't know where that came from, but I'm assuming it's probably like inside nod to their actual personal life, where I guess they must have caviar on top of Pringles and ate them. So that's kind of cute nod, because I feel like it's like a nod to a personal thing for them, and I love that kind of inside their own lives, that direction. Death Do Us Part does after the second chorus comes in, it cuts off and goes right into Nervous, and I don't really know. I wish there was some nod to like why it did that. But at the same time, I'm happy. I'm also okay for it not saying anything, just kind of just like and going to nervous because it makes it feel like maybe he's talking about this so much and he's really climbing a bit of being so excited that he falls into this nervousness of how the love still makes him nervous throughout the whole time. In a good way though. Like it just that all this is that what he's have is just really great. So yeah, I really like that one. That is the main part of the album. I know there are some chill versions and everything, but I don't need to talk about that because it's just different production. But I will talk about two other deluxe songs, which is Selfish featuring Jonas Brothers. Pretty much is plain, simple, straight to the point song about just wanting their lover to themselves. And then Going to Dangerous, which talks about the idea that he knows that loving this Priyanka is dangerous. Falling in love is dangerous in general because you can break your heart at any point. Life could come in the middle of it at any time without you noticing, and then shit just goes downhill. You never know. And I think that I like that direction for talking about it, but he doesn't really care. He's like, I like this dangerous. I want to be dangerous because it's worth it in the end, you know? So I think that's really nice. I like this album. It's very organized in the best way, and I love a good organized album. I give this one a 9 out of 10. I think it's really nice. I think there's some songs that are kind of but not enough to where I don't like it. It just didn't stand out as much as the other ones definitely set out more. Yeah, leave a comment below, tell me what you thought. If you liked it, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. If you liked this video, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you get more of my videos. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.